Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the absolutely atmospheric and honestly deeply emotional climax of Rini's story. It's the exact moment where the fate of the Ghost King and the mortal Rini hinges on just one terrifying decision. Picture this. It's exactly 3 a.m. The air is thick with danger, and a choice made in the dead of night is about to change absolutely everything.
Okay, so let's set the scene for this exact moment. Rini is standing right there in her grandmother's house. The Ghost King, the Thilhalang Pa, is on his knees, literally fading into nothingness. And outside, there's this terrifying, faceless monster just scraping its fingers against the windowsill. Now, Rini has a clear path out. She could just run to the forest, make it to the village, and be totally safe. But instead, she makes the ultimate sacrifice. She steps forward, right over broken glass, grabs his incredibly cold hand, and we're talking a hand that feels like holding winter itself, and whispers, "Kahangaiche, I love you."
And wow, the reaction to those words is just explosive. The curse doesn't just quietly lift, it shatters. The house literally screams, windows blow out, floorboards split, and that faceless monster at the window, it shrieks before bursting into a cloud of black smoke. But the most incredible transformation is what happens to the Ghost King. His mask clatters to the floor, sunlight pours from the cracks in his armor, and underneath, he isn't a monster at all. He's a warm, living, 25-year-old man. He's got a scar running down his cheek and a tear in his eye. For the first time in 178 years, he is completely alive.
Well, wait. This brings about a truly tragic reversal. As the clock chimes and the sky turns that sort of pre-dawn gray, the newly mortal king realizes a horrifying truth. He looks at her and says, "You broke half of it. You freed me, but you bound yourself." His reality is now freedom and life. But Rini's reality? Well, because no soul can leave after sunrise if they claim the throne, she is now bound to the house. She is the new Thilhalang Nu, the Ghost Queen. And as that first ray of morning sun touches the trees, Rini's skin literally starts to smoke. She's trapped in the dark, while the village outside wakes up to a life she just can't be a part of anymore.
So now, Rini has to face this drastic new normal. She's essentially a prisoner of the house, but this new existence brings a wild duality. Yes, she cannot cross the threshold, and sunlight means instant death for her. But in the dark, she gains immense supernatural power. She can walk straight through walls. She can hear the secret whispers of the surrounding forest. She can even command the other, smaller spirits lingering in the house. She has become this incredibly powerful ghost. But here's the thing, she isn't alone. The reason she isn't alone is all down to the king's profound loyalty. Look, he's mortal now, right? He could easily just walk into the village and live a totally normal human life. Instead, every single morning before dawn, he comes back. He boards up the windows to protect her from the sun. He sits with her in the darkness, tells her stories, teaches her to use the Dao sword, and even carves her a wooden mask so she can choose when to be seen. And when she tells him he doesn't have to stay, he just takes her solid hand and makes a vow. He says, "A king does not abandon his queen, not again." He remembers his brother's betrayal that cost him his own life, and he flat out refuses to leave the woman who gave it back to him. All right, let's fast forward to the timeline of the climax and see how this tension really builds. This is the night of Lung Lab Tui, the blood moon. Right at midnight, an old woman from the village named Pi Zabzami suddenly shows up and performs a Kong Pui Han. That's a powerful cleansing ritual, done right at the gate. And this sets off a massive, desperate race against time. By 1 a.m., the newly mortal king heads into the dangerous forest completely alone. By 3 a.m., Rini can hear the distant, terrifying sounds of battle echoing from the trees. And finally, just before dawn, he returns.
Now, you might be wondering, why did he go into the forest in the first place? Well, during her ritual, Pisame revealed the true anchor of the curse. She shouted that the curse didn't actually belong to the prince at all. It belonged to his treacherous brother. The brothers had been buried together 178 years ago, but only one received a proper funeral. The unburned bones of the betraying brother have just been lying there under the old Thingkang tree all this time, basically keeping the dark magic alive and trapping the queen inside the house.
So the whole thing hinges on this final, incredibly perilous mission. To break the curse once and for all, 3 crucial things have to happen. First, the mortal king must fight his way through the Ramhuai. These are vicious forest spirits who absolutely despise having graves disturbed. Second, he must dig up and retrieve his brother's black bones. And third, he has to bring them back and burn them exactly at first light. And remember, he doesn't have his supernatural ghost strength anymore. He is literally just a mortal man fighting monsters for the woman he loves. But against all odds, he does it. He returns just moments before the sun rises. His armor is cracked, he's battered, he's coughing, and he's bleeding heavily from the fight in the forest. But clutched tightly in his hands is a bundle wrapped in old cloth. He found them, the black bones of his brother. Time is running out fast here. They frantically build a roaring fire. 40. That is exactly how many years it's been since this cold, haunted house has even seen a fire in its heart. They watch the sky so anxiously, and right as the sun's very first light hits the crest of the hill outside, he throws that bundle of bones directly into the flames. And then, the house groaned. Seriously, it sounded like a person waking up from a terrible, century-long nightmare. Dust falls from the wooden rafters for a full minute as the very foundation of the magic just unravels. And then, there is silence. Real silence. Not that heavy, cursed, oppressive quiet they had been living with, but the peaceful, natural silence of the world. Rini looks down at her hand. A single sunbeam, shining through a crack in those boarded-up windows, slowly moves across the floorboards. It creeps up, and it touches her skin. She completely braces herself for the searing pain, the smoke, the ash. But she doesn't burn. She was warm. The chilling cold of the Shadow Kingdom was just gone. Overcome with emotion, Rini runs through the house. She goes straight to the front door, a door she hasn't even dared to look at in months, and throws it wide open. Real, golden morning sunlight washes right over her face. She's crying. She's laughing. She can finally feel the warmth of life again. The Philha Lengpa, who is no longer a ghost king, but simply a man, steps into the sunlight right behind her, and he doesn't burn either. The 178-year curse is completely, undeniably broken. They stand there together on the porch of the old Lusai house, holding hands. They are completely free. When he looks at her and asks, "What now, my queen?" Rini looks out at the village. She looks at the forest, smiles, and says, "Now we live." It's such a beautiful testament to the power of choice, isn't it? It's this powerful reminder for all of us that sometimes the greatest leaps of faith and the deepest sacrifices are exactly what earn us our ultimate freedom. It really seems like the perfect happy ending. But as we know, actions always have consequences. The king disturbed the graves. He fought the Ramhuai. So will they truly find peace in the village, or will the ancient, angry spirits of the forest eventually come seeking revenge? I'll leave you to think about what might be waiting for them out there in the trees. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.